What is up, everyone? This is your Lotus Chat lady, Jazzy Lim Kang. I'm so happy to be back. I'm here with my girl, Jenn.
Hey everyone, welcome.
So we're very excited. We had just wrapped up episode 40. So that means we've been doing this for about 40 weeks now. Miss Zian and Laura did a powerful share on the power of acknowledgement.
Yes, a very powerful episode. I definitely recommend all of our returning viewers and new viewers to check that one out. Definitely a lot of great things to take out from there and impart into one's life and help others and especially like so many great quotes. Check that out on YouTube, check that out on Spotify. And again, welcome to everybody here who's been with us for now 40 episodes. And Jazzy, we are on episode 41. I can't believe it.
I know, isn't it phenomenal? So, with that being said, make sure that you're following us. These topics are great. And if you find that they resonate and you just want to go ahead and listen and tap in anytime you're driving and just want to listen, or anytime you're decompressing, or just need a little bit of insight, wisdom, love, and guidance, we are your girls. We're here for you to help you get through the mud and continue blooming, growing, elevating, escalating, all the great things. And so, I think that's about it. So let's go ahead and go into what 41 is about. So this episode is about identifying, knowing the importance of the power of yes, the significance that yes carries, and also that within no. So there's also power in saying no. And I guess for me, I'll begin to share that what I found in my personal experience, the power of yes for me is knowing that you are open to moving past your comfort zone, embracing new challenges, which is great because this means that you're naturally open to adopting a growth mindset. And that means that you're open to experiencing the opportunity, the possibilities of making the most out of every encounter. So that means like taking the chance to stretch and overcome insecurities, beat fear, get through failure, get through criticism, rejection, embarrassment. And in spite of all, like, despite all those possible obstacles, you're still going to accept the challenge anyways. Um, and for no, for me, what I find is that there's also power in knowing your boundary and letting others know that you are clear and that you're certain, and um, also knowing that no also paves a way for a potential yes. And another thing that I want to share that I've heard is that no can be described as a fresh approach at being masterful, at you saying yes to life.
Wow.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so
Oh, wow.
that's what I got.
Jazzy, I'm just thinking, how much more can I add to all of what you just said? I mean, you hit the nail on the head with all the different points that you put there. Yes, definitely. The words that came to mind when you were mentioning all that was creating boundaries, allowing for new opportunities, overcoming obstacles. I mean, all those things come within those two words alone. And depending on, what the situation is, of course, is when you decide which word that you're going to say, or even if it's not even a yes or no, maybe it is like a maybe. But again, we welcome all of you to this discussion because we know that, in our various phases of our life and various times of our life, we do have to say yes to something or to someone, or we have to say no to a circumstance or to an opportunity, or we're just not sure. So this is why we chose the topic for today, because it's definitely something that we all encounter. So in that frame of mind, like for me, the power of yes and no, the word I would say no is something that I know I've used more so than yes in many occasions in my life. The word yes itself has been something that's been kind of harder for me to say. when it comes to new opportunities and even those opportunities where I felt like there was a risk involved. Because we definitely, that word and comes into our mind, that fear, that risk of, if I say yes to this, what is the possibility that will come out of it, if any? And then when I use the word no a lot, it's out of that sense of, if I say no, then there's really no possibility of me, let's say, for example, getting hurt, or for it going wrong, or for things going sideways, like, because there's
Provides a sense of safety.
safety. So that is why I know, for me personally, the word no has been something that I've used as a comfort blanket, I guess, like that sense of comfort. But as I progressed through my life, and now I'm at a point right now after doing this really impactful course with Jazzy here and the lovely Lotus ladies, I've realized that yes, it can also be such a powerful word when I say yes to myself and yes to opportunities that I would normally feel I am not either ready for, or feel kind of like, I'm a little scared about it. And since I started saying yes, all these doors are opening. I can feel that more people are willing to listen and to hear me and to know where I'm coming from, like the come from. So again, there's a lot of power behind a yes and saying yes to yourself. And that is personally why these two words are so impactful for me. So Jazzy, I mean, since we are on the topic of the power of yes and no, what does it mean when we say yes to something or no to something?
Um, to to say yes to something means yes to opportunities and to the stretch. And as you shared, it says it saying yes also implies like I I welcome the door opening and walking through it. I welcome the commitment, the challenge, the opportunity, the possibility. And the power of no is also respecting a boundary, being clear, or maybe not being clear, and then saying no until you become clear, and where that can potentially turn into a yes. So, but that's a great question, which kind of leads me into the wonderment of um, if these are the spaces that we would use yes and no, what are the instances where it's not okay to say yes?
Yes.
Not
And
okay to say no.
that is a great question. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because in the examples that I used, um, I know for me, like there have been instances where I've said yes when it should have been a no.
Mm,
And I was thinking to myself, now when I look back, because now that as you mature and you learn new things and you learn more about yourself, you look back and you're like, why did I say yes to that? Well, because at the time I was in a different mindset. And obviously, me saying yes to these different experiences was because I realized that maybe at the time I didn't have an understanding of myself. I didn't have, there was something that I was missing and I was trying to compensate for it. And that is why I said yes, because either I wanted to fill that void or that space with it, because I felt there was a void. Um, so I think there are instances where we kind of have to look at the situation or that person in that experience and just think, if I say yes, am I being really true to myself with the
is
yes?
it authentic?
Is it an authentic? Am I living in my authenticity by saying yes to this person or this circumstance? Because now when I look back, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I was really being honest with myself. I wasn't happy. I was definitely, feeling a certain way. And I was saying yes because I was afraid of what saying no would be. Would it leave me alone? Would it leave me without a feeling of lack? But in the end, it really, I realized I was never really lacking. It was the understanding that I had what I needed within myself. I just didn't really see it. And it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
weird. I didn't, now that I'm like, okay, now I'm like, okay, I get it. I've learned so much from those experiences and I'm grateful. But I realized that, yeah, there are some times when you want to say yes, but you really should be saying no because it's not true to you. it's not true to who you are, your essence, what you
Mhm.
want out of life, where you see your life going. It's, all these things come into mind. So definitely, like, there are instances where a yes should be a no.
And what about no?
Yeah.
What are some instances where it's not okay to say no? Where you wouldn't suggest anyone who's listening or watching right now to say no?
Oof. Okay. So I will give a real world example. And to this day, I kick myself and say, why didn't I say yes to that? And why did I say no? So there was an instance in my life where I was offered an opportunity to travel for work. And I've never really been offered that opportunity. But at the time, I was in this relationship where I was afraid that if I did, end up taking this job, it would take me away from this person that I really cared about. And I
Mm.
would be, I would be out of the country a lot. There would be no,
Mm.
and it was either I had to choose. I had to choose being with this person or taking this really great job that would allow me to see the world and do things that I never would have imagined I would do. And so I ended up saying no to this job and saying yes to this person. Now, I
Mhm.
don't regret it because what ended up happening after I said no was I got to learn more about what it was like being in relationship with the person and realizing that um as you grow older together, sometimes you grow apart and you become different people. And that's what I realized. I was like, he was in a different headspace and I was in a different headspace. Yeah, we cared about each other. Yeah, we wanted to build a life together, but the type of life that we each imagined was different, which is fine, and it happens. And the love was always still there. And to this day, I am grateful for having him in my life when I did. But I also think, like, what if I had said yes to that job? Would he have, stuck around for me? Would he have waited for me? Could we have worked it out where I would, come for a week or two and then go and travel for work and come back and travel for work? Like, could we have worked it out? It's always been a question in my mind because now I'm like, I could have seen more of the world at that time in my life. And it would have been really cool to have all of those memories. Um, but yeah, again, no regrets, none whatsoever. I had a great experience, and I would never exchange it for anything. Yeah,
As you should, because everything teaches you the contrast, and
yeah,
there's power in that also.
yeah,
Sounds like a great topic for the future. Let's go.
yeah.
um, it's very true. There are also times where there are instances where you shouldn't say no. I am in my personal subjective. I feel like where I wouldn't suggest to say no when it comes to a new challenge that could actually elevate you. Um, I my opinion is to actually stretch beyond the no sometimes when it's not in the space of like concerning for your personal health or something or your own personal needs. Um, so don't be afraid to not say no. So when it's something that's calling you forth or calling to your greatness, like um, don't reject your next level of elevation. It's like for example, if you're an introvert and maybe like but you really want to go and connect with people or maybe you want to go start dating again but you say no to situations that might seem scary. um, I feel like you should definitely lean into that and find a way to empower the yes and don't be the reason of your like your own limitations, self-imposed. That's it's kind of natural for humans to create these self-imposed limiting beliefs and limitations that we get to break through, we get to overcome, we get to transgress and move forward past. But it's not okay to reject your growth. And like
I love
um,
that. I love that.
it's not okay to reject these beautiful opportunities that you so much want. Like
Mhm.
have the courage to come from the heart and do things that are out of the comfort zone.
Mhm.
And when I feel like it's not okay to say yes, and I have so much experience beyond what I'm about to say, especially in this last, who knows, whether that be like this years pattern, whatever, what I saw modeled. Um, it's not okay to say yes when you are overwhelmed, when you are tired, burnt out, when you are having a conscious or unconscious pattern of people pleasing, wanting to be just doing and productive. It's not okay to say yes when you haven't taken time for yourself, taken personal inventory of where you're at, because that's super detrimental. It's detrimental to not know where you're at and set a healthy boundary and empower the no in this instance. Um, empower the no to be able to have these check-ins and be self-loving and self-compassionate. Yeah. Because my feedback that I've gotten has been like, when the moment you wake up, Jazz, you get up and you go and you keep doing, and your brain will just keep finding all these lists of things to do. And it's because I've I've learned to recognize where I'm like, I am not doing enough and I need to do more. And there's so many things like that I got to do. And um so I just will assign myself to all these duties. And I realized like I need to stop saying yes to everything and really just take personal responsibility for how I do that, because that affects not only myself, my mental health, my emotional health, my physical health, my relationships. It impacts everything. Um
Jazzy.
sister souls, brother soul, whoever's listening to this, like, you know, these check-ins are very important. And which also brings in this next identifier, or identifying question that I'd like to ask everyone is, and you, especially Jenn, like, what do you have for us when it comes to how can we identify when to use either yes or no?
Oof, great question. And I love that you brought up in your personal, story about the whole wellness check. I mean, that's it's something that even like in at jobs that now employers are really trying to impart, where they're doing like wellness checks and making sure that employees have like those resources available in case they need them. Um, I think that we for ourselves as individuals need to check in, so that is an identifier.
For
When
sure.
you're ready to say, when you know that you're at a point when you need to make a decision, a yes or no, check in with yourself, check in with your mind, your heart, your soul, check in with your body. If your body is saying, I need to take a rest. If your body is saying, I need some space, take that space. And yeah, I know personally myself, I'm a big person when it comes to creating my personal space. So once I'm in the personal space, everyone knows, okay, Jenn is like taking time for herself. Because I know that I've run into the instances where people are wondering, like, we haven't seen Jenn in a while. Like, how's she doing? Jenn is taking time for herself. Jenn is like
Yeah.
catching up with work. Jenn is catching up with, family stuff, or Jenn has like stuff on her plate that she's juggling, because, we all tend to juggle multiple things at once. We're powerful women. Everybody listening out there, you know how powerful we are and how we can multitask. But the one thing I do want to remind all of us is that, let's, put down the plates for like 5 minutes and take, some breathing time, take a walk, just shut off everything, phones, anything electronic, and just take some time for yourself. So that's the first identifier. Definitely
I
do.
want to add to that real quick
Yes.
because that's a really good point, is that because I can relate to just taking a hiatus or taking a quick break. And sometimes what I am aware that sometimes I will go radio silent though. So to invite everyone, and also for a self reminder, is to express that, being able to effectively communicate when you need that, when you need that moment to do any of those things, to take a break or just like let the world know like I will be back. And also to unconsciously allow yourself know that like this is what I'm doing. It's okay that I'm going to step away for a moment. Give yourself that permission by expressing it somehow. And words are powerful, so use them.
Yes, yes, Jazzy, I'm glad you pointed that out. So yeah, definitely let people know so that they don't worry about you if you decide to take like some of my friends take social media breaks where they completely like stop all Instagram, all Facebook for like a couple of days. And I'm like, there was, I was concerned about one of my friends. She took a break and we didn't know what was going on. So we were texting her and we were like, is everything okay? And she's like, no, I just needed to take a step back from social media for a while. And I was like, thumbs up to that. Like, definitely do that for yourself. So that's the first thing, wellness check. The second identifier would be doing a check-in with your goals and with what where you're moving yourself to with regards to life stuff. Is this in line or aligned with where I'm going in my life? Is this person aligned with where I see myself in 5 or 10 years? Like, definitely check in with yourself. It's always good to see whether this is a yes or a no for you in the long run. So that, and then the third thing that I usually check in with myself on is my heart. And I know I'm a big softie, and I know that I tend.
Really?
I'm a big softie, and I know I
I
tend.
can't tell.
I've got to wear my heart on my sleeve type of
I love
person.
your heart. Yes, girl.
And I know I've made some decisions based on, that. But I also know that the heart wants what it wants. So in the long run, I've had to definitely check in with myself multiple times on that and realize that I do not want things that do not resonate with my heart space. Because in the, that's what I like they say, you basically are your own best friend. And in the end, it'll be you yourself at the very end.
Or at
So
least you should be.
yeah, no,
Or could be.
we all
Or what
end
if
up
you were? Yeah.
right. We all end up in the same place. So before that happens, let us all stay true to what is beating from here. Um, and also remember that we just need to, find find some time to just check in here. That's all. So those are my things. What about you, Jazzy?
I
Any of
love
your,
that.
your three
That
things?
hits home. That hits home for sure. And I love how you shared the wellness check-ins because that's a great identifier to find out whether or not something is a yes or no. When you can qualify any of these things that come into question, person, place, thing, doing, act, being, when you can be at that gate and create a sound, mindful decision around what is my body telling me? Because your body will give you cues. You'll feel the discomfort, you'll feel tension. You get to explore why that's happening for you. And also knowing what your body says, right? And knowing what your mind says. So, what is your brain rattling off? I learned something very valuable today, right? This is about the amygdala. And the amygdala is a part of our brain that creates or receives information, memories, um, responses, actions, our imaginations, like all of this happen, like our perceptions occur in the amygdala. And that also will create a fight or flight response. It's where resistance comes from. Um, freezing also comes from the amygdala. That's it's a lot of responsibilities in that part of our brain. So once our frontal lobe cortex actually is the space where we get to utilize and create spaces of discernment, wisdom. We get to apply the best self-talk. We get to actually like weigh things out rationally. We get to be able to clearly define what we're doing as far as like what is our goal. And so it allows us to slow down and makes all the it quiets the chaos. That's what our frontal lobe does. So that is the mind, and knowing how to use it effectively, that's powerful. It's so powerful. Be in control of your mind. Do not let your mind control you. Remember that. And your heart, your heart will also say something. So a key identifier when I mean by heart is this authentic with myself and my inner being? Um, am I creating resistance or allowance for what this yes or no is pertaining to? Um, yeah, so mind, body, heart, checking in with spirit. What would spirit, what's in integrity with my spirit? What does my moral compass um think, feel, suggest? Because your higher self, that unattached part of your consciousness, is also going to share very insightful pieces of wisdom when it comes to your yes or no's. And if this supports anyone, also checking in with just being clear if something is a full body yes or no, and if it is or it isn't, explore that. Invite you to examine that part of you.
That
And
that's beautiful. That is
thank
beautiful.
you.
Yes.
Yeah. These are things that have just been helpful for me, and very insightful. Is there anything else for identifying for myself? Yes or no? I think that could be it. Oh, and also just like separating yourself from the opinions of others.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, cut
Yeah.
the crap, you know what I mean? Quiet all that stuff out, because it's one thing to know or not know where you're at, but then when you involve other people's opinions and experiences, take that from a separated or disassociated, very neutral standpoint and receptivity, because they have their own biases, they have their own personal emotions toward that. So know that you're under your influence, and not solely on the on that of another's, because it's different for everyone. Everyone's experiences are different around that. So, you know,
100% right. And
think for yourselves.
yes, you put that
Feel
in the
for
most
yourself.
beautiful of ways. I'm so glad that you added that last part. And it was something that I was thinking about that we should definitely hit on. That's very important. And I'm glad that we had this great discussion today on the power of yes and no, because as you can tell, a lot came out of this.
A lot to share around that.
A lot that I'm sure all of you who are listening or watching us have taken from this. And we invite you all to please put up in the comments anything that resonated with you today, or send us an email at lotuschatworldwide@gmail.com. We'd love hearing from you. And if there is like a particular topic you want us to visit on any of these episodes, we will give you a personal shout out live here on YouTube and Spotify. So thank you everyone for being here. And for next week's episode, we're going to do something different with you live today. We are going to choose it here out of these topics that we put that have been collected over the last 41 weeks now. And so whatever we choose is our topic.
Let's go.
Let's go, guys. And mixing that up. And we have, I wonder what
that one. That okay, one.
Here it goes. And we are doing the power of acknowledgement part 2 next week.
Of course we are.
Of course we are. And that will be ready for you guys. So tune in. Please like, share, subscribe, follow us on Spotify and YouTube, as we mentioned. And thank you again for joining us. And I'm Jenn, and we've got
Jazzy.
We will see you all again soon. Take care, guys. Have a great rest of your week. We love you.
Love and light.